So I played a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 1 2004 Classic Edition. When I was a kid, when I was like 9 or so, I was like not very good. I was actually pretty bad. So I wanted to revisit this game as an adult and see if I had gotten any better. This was supposed to be a much shorter video, but I got like a little bit way too into it. I got a big one coming next month. So while I'm doing that, this is just a little something fun I wanted to do for me because I deserve fun. So some quick like notes on the game, first of all, before we get into it and we talk about these maps and the map design and the layout and the visual design of what we're looking at here. I'm mainly going to talk about the map design, which is what I basically already told you. So if you were paying attention, you'd already know that. That said, most of the footage I use here is from the instant action game mode. There's 3 game modes. There's instant action, there's Galactic Conquest, and there is the campaign mode. They're what they sound like. Campaign mode is the maps in chronological order. Galactic Conquest is more of like a half campaign, half instant action, where you kind of conquer planets and go one by one. So it's like a mini campaign. And instant action is exactly what it sounds like. You just fight on the map immediately. And there's also online multiplayer. So lots of opportunities. Disclaimer, some of the critiques I have don't apply so much to like if a really creative player who knows the maps are playing. I'm basing a lot of my reasoning on if like Joe Normal was playing this game in terms of map design, so bear that in mind. So some general thoughts on the overall map design before we get into each one individually. There's a big reoccurring flaw with some of these maps that you only ever spawn on one side and never the other in instant action game mode. You get to pick your side in Galactic Conquest, but if you only want to play 1 or 2 maps and not like a whole mini campaign, you just gotta deal. One thing about these maps to note also is they're humongous for some reason. I'm not complaining. I said that like I was complaining, but I actually kind of like that. You can shoot so far across this map, especially if you're playing as like a sniper or something. It makes it feel all very like interconnected and genuinely like a wider battlefield. This does mean, however, that if you spawn too far from the action, you have to do like a ridiculous amount of walking to get there. Also, when there's only like 1 guy left on the enemy team, you just kind of have to sit around until somebody finds him because the maps are so huge and it's really difficult to track down like 1 guy in this massive environment. Oh, it's him. Wait, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get his ass.
We've captured a command post. We've lost the command post.
Yeah! But I do enjoy how spread out some of the maps are in the sense that it allows for a lot of different ways to play one map. It's not as contained and streamlined the way a lot of other PvP or like team-based online multiplayer maps are. Another thing is the sheer amount of like quote-unquote people on the map. 200 to 250 each team usually, so it's a lot more like a battlefield of a war, which shockingly I think might have been what they were going for. This also means things get very chaotic at times, which can be sort of a lot, but it can also be pretty fun. Whoa! Shit, you scared me. Wow, there's a lot happening. One weird design habit they do have, though, is they make these really in-depth, complex, interesting maps and then set up the spawn points and the command posts in such a way that you don't spend any time in the interesting parts of the map because you get funneled to one spot and all the fighting takes place in that one spot, like in Bespin platforms map that we'll get to in a minute. And like I said, in terms of spawning, it can kind of swing between spawning you like 2 feet in front of an enemy turret and spawning you a minute's walk from the action. I really love the way this game looks. It looks very video game, if you know what I mean. I do kind of miss like the fuzziness of the original Xbox version. I don't know, probably just nostalgia actually. We all know that games these days focus a lot on graphical realism and fidelity, which works for some games, don't get me wrong. But graphics age and well done visual design does not. And to be fair, this game does benefit a lot from being able to pull so much design language and set pieces from existing Star Wars material. The AI is kind of stupid a little bit, a lot of the time. One thing though is like the enemy AI always feels a lot smarter than your ally AI. Ally AI will like actually just run in front of you while you're shooting.
destroy the shield generator.
Oh.
We captured a command post.
Ooh. Sorry. On that note, there are a lot of odd glitches in this game. It's not perfect, but the respawn mechanics of the game make it less of a big deal. About over here. What? Alright. Okay, so now we're gonna go through each map one by one because I feel like it and it's my video. We're gonna have two different tier systems, one for how fun the map is to play and another for how cool it looks. So map number 1 is Bespin platforms, which we mentioned before. It has a bottleneck problem for sure. All of the combat of that game takes place in like one hallway and like nowhere else, and I understand that. I think the developers were thinking that this would be a more vehicle-focused map and that the player would be in the ships and like flying around and stuff, but for some reason the ships in this map are like so unwieldy. I don't know what it's telling me. I'm like stuck beneath the map. Help.
We've lost the command post.
Yeah, I bet. I've been dorking around over here. Why is it what? Why is it down there? I can't fire anymore either. Can I just die? I alright. Back to being a foot soldier, I guess. The rest of the map design is very, like, circular platform, narrow hull, rinse and repeat. It's very brown, which makes it really hard to see enemy droids if you're fighting them. That's not a bad thing that it's so brown, but it doesn't really add to the visual interest. I do love the orangey sky, though. It saves it from being totally boring. Overall gameplay C tier and visual design B tier. So map number 2 is Bespin Cloud City. This is another map where you are stuck in a hallway the whole time. The carbon freezing chamber is cool, but almost no fighting takes place there because it's so tucked away from the rest of the map, so you don't really get to look at it. The rest of the map is much less visually interesting. Sniping on this map is really fun. Playing any other way, not so much. Gameplay B tier, basically exclusively for the sniping, and visual design C tier. I don't like it that much, except for the carbon freezing chamber. Map number 3 is Endor. It's got some pretty good map design here. It's much better than the last two. There's platforms you can use to snipe from. If you run out of ammo, you have to go to a more exposed area. Wow, this is the real war experience. It has a slightly different objective than the other maps. You have to destroy a shield bunker, a la Star Wars, if you could believe it. And it looks amazing overall. It's got great verticality, logs to hide in, platforms, sunlight streaming through the trees looks wonderful, and there's like Ewok traps, and they will take down Empire vehicles, which is cool. There's a lot of different ways to play this map, and I appreciate that, especially compared to the last two. And it looks amazing. Gameplay A tier, visual design S tier. Now we get to the Geonosis map. Hoo boy. The setup, first of all, is insane, okay? Playing as the Republic side of this fight is what I imagine it's like to be Sisyphus. The win conditions are so odd, like, it tells you you're supposed to destroy the shield generators, and like, okay, I can do that, but once you do it, you don't win. The level doesn't end. You also have to kill everyone. Okay. You kind of really, especially if you're playing Republic side of this map, you really have to make your own fun, because otherwise it's miserable. If you don't use vehicles, you're screwed, like, completely. You have to use vehicles to have any fun in this map. That said, using the vehicles was kind of fun. I like catching the, like, sand speeders. I don't know what they're called. Don't sue me for being a fake Star Wars fan. But you could catch them on the turret and shoot it, and I don't think that's, like, supposed to happen, but it was fun. It's a very red and brown map, but it just isn't as cool looking as some of the other maps around it. I had a hell of a time playing through this map. I ended up destroying the shield generators, and then I thought the map was gonna end, and it did not. And I was the only person on my team left alive, and I had to kill like 100 people to win, and it was a whole saga. Like I said, one must imagine Sisyphus. I'm the only person alive, but that's what I call victory, right? I think. Oh yeah, I don't think I'm looking too good. What if I got out and gotten the other one? But do you think I could do it? Oh! Got him. Yes! That's what I call a victory. So overall, I'd say gameplay is C tier for the most part in the sense that you don't have a lot of options in the way you can go about this, and it's like weirdly steep wind conditions for the Republic side. A tier though, for that one singular time I played it for this video because it was mad funny. And visual design, B tier. Next up is Hoth. Bunch of big wide open nothing. The hangar and the snow tunnels are really cool though. I really like all of the interior design. I like a lot of the interior spaces in this map, but the issue I have with it is so much of it, as in like 90% of the fighting, takes place out in just big empty snow. I think it takes away a little bit from a more engaging experience on this map, and it's another one where you kind of have to use vehicles. Which I get is the point. I understand what they're trying to emulate and what they're trying to go for. Gameplay C tier, visual design D tier outside, A tier inside. Next we have Kamino. I love this map. It's one of my favorites in the whole game, but it's not very long, especially if you're playing as the droids. They kind of have a huge advantage. Like, if you know the map and you're playing as the droids, you're going to decimate the Republic in this map. It tends to go by really fast, like under 5 minutes, if that. But like I said, I love the way this map looks. I love the contrast between the outside and the inside spaces. I think they both have their own strengths, unlike in the Hoth map, they work well together instead of highlighting the weakness of the other. So visual design S tier, gameplay B tier. I was getting kind of tired of getting my ass kicked a little bit, so I took a break to play Hatsune Miku Project Diva. This is not any easier than what I was doing before. Did he just kill Hatsune Miku? I wish I could check, but I'm so busy. And after I was feeling wonderfully refreshed from that experience, I did the next 7 or so maps. So we have Kashyyyk Islands. Nothing all that interesting about this one. It's like shrubbery and some hills. The hills are kind of a pain in the ass too. The colors are nice, but there's poor visibility in such a way that it makes it less fun to play. So I'm very lukewarm in this map. I'd give it C tier for gameplay and visual design. Next up is Kashyyyk Docks. Cooler design than the other Kashyyyk map, and if you're up on the platforms, the sniping's pretty fun, but it is kind of hard to get up there if you don't start up there. All of the fighting is like on or around the beach though. You don't really get to go anywhere else just because of the way the map's structured, but it's not fun. So gameplay B tier, visual design B tier. What just happened to him? Next up is my least favorite, I'll tell you right now, the Naboo Plains. There's nothing to look at here. It's actually just grass and some rocks. They weren't kidding about it being plains. It's just very exposed. It's no fun at all if you don't use a vehicle. And all of the command posts are just kind of sitting there. It's a map I never play of my own free will, if that tells you anything about it. So gameplay C tier, visual design D tier. On the other hand, Naboo Theed is a much more interesting map in my opinion. It is very beautiful. It's got a very Parisian feel to the layout. One thing about this game is I do really like how detailed and alive and beautiful they managed to make things look, even with, you know, hardware and graphical limitations. This map, in my opinion, is more beautiful than it is fun, but it's not bad. One thing I do like is there are buildings you can like actually go inside of, and that's a nice touch for an urban environment like this, but it's not bad at all. Gameplay B tier, visual design S tier. Rhen Var Harbor is the next map. The ice tunnels and the command post look great. but a lot of the fighting falls into that same issue of taking place in the big empty section in the middle, which I'm suspecting at this point is a byproduct of, you know, there's like 20 vehicles in this game, I think, and the developers were probably prioritizing having more open spaces so a player could use that. So I can't keep harping on this too much because it does serve a purpose. If you know the map, you can kind of redirect the fight on this one a little bit, which is nice compared to the other ones with the big open empty area where you fight problem. Gameplay A tier, visual design S tier.
The command post.
Why did he turn like that? Rhen Var Citadel. It's a pretty varied environment, good mix of cover and open areas, good mix of indoor and outdoor areas. Everything's interconnected. You can get from one side of the map to the other in a lot of different ways, and it's fun to play as any class of soldier in this, but there are no vehicles, which I think maybe if you're noticing a trend, I tend to prefer playing as like a foot soldier over driving a vehicle, so maybe that's why I like this one so much. But gameplay S tier, visual design A tier. After that we have Tatooine Dune Sea. This is another one of the maps where if you don't use the vehicle, you're kind of toast. It can kind of constrict the playstyle on this a little bit, so I'm not a huge fan, but I do really like the visual design of this map. I like you can climb up the cliffs and like hang out on the rocks, and I like that there's the sand people, the raiders, I forget their names, but they're fun because you have like multiple factions to fight against. Yeah, the visual design's pretty solid. Obviously this is a very iconic location from the movies. It looks great. I wish this map was a little more fun to play, but maybe that's just because I don't steer towards vehicle gameplay. Gameplay C tier, visual design A tier. Tatooine Mos Eisley? Mos Eisley? I'm like so showing my hand right now. I've never said any of this out loud before. Oh my god. It's got the cantina. Shares a lot of strengths with Theed in this urban design sense of the map, where it's like it's more fun than Theed though. It's more balanced and more spread out. It's easier to traverse and you can get around in a lot of different ways. There are a couple buildings you can actually go inside, which is something I like, and there's a lot of like half walls you can use for cover or jump over, and things like that make this map more interesting to play. Plus they play the song.
The command post.
Gameplay A tier, visual design S tier. Yavin 4 temple, beautiful. Love the fog, love the sky, color palette, the waterfall, the fountain command post, the rebel pyramid base. My complaint is all the fighting takes place on those steps in the middle, and the only way to prevent spending the whole battle there basically is to take the command post really, really fast at the start and then forge onward and like press the offensive. In order to hang out in the coolest areas of the game, you have to be like either super on the defensive or super on the offensive. You can't like kind of wander around and make your own fun because everyone will just go to the steps and kill each other. Gameplay B tier, visual design S tier.
Reinforcements are taking casualties.
Oh, that's a grenade. Whoa! Wonder, oh yeah.
We've captured a command post.
Yavin 4 Arena. Both Yavin 4 maps are like this, where I love the way they look, but I feel kind of lukewarm on the gameplay because it usually traps you somewhere away from the coolest areas, and I like looking at the cool stuff. The side that is, if you play as the Empire, the side that is your base is so cool looking. I'm a sucker for a map where it rains. The red moon planet thing is awesome, and the arena looks pretty cool too, but the whole fight just kind of stays in the pit the whole time until your teams are done killing each other Hunger Games style, and I'd like to hang out in more of the other areas of this map because they are so cool looking. Gameplay B tier, visual design S tier. And our final map, Tatooine Jabba. That's what it's called, actually. This one's cool. I play it like every time. There's a lot of fun details here, like the carbon frozen Han Solo, and there's Harrison Ford. They have like the evil, sorry, not evil. I shouldn't profile him like that. They have the creature who's in the basement and eats people under the trapdoor. They have a droid getting tortured. Jabba's hanging out there too, but he doesn't do anything. A couple of little secret passageways in this map too. Like it's all very interior compared to a lot of other maps in this game, but it's really fun and it's just cool. I like it. It's just cool. Gameplay S tier, visual design S tier. So my conclusion here is I think on average the visual design is a little stronger than the gameplay, especially in single player. I think you can really make your own fun in multiplayer, because I think you can really make your own fun in any multiplayer game. I think it's aged incredibly well, both in terms of visuals and gameplay. It's still a very fun game to play more than 20 years later, and I think that's something that's important. I think it's important that we build our art and our games to last. Even though you could argue with me how much Star Wars Battlefront 1 Classic 2004 edition, the movie tie-in, counts as art, but I would count it. it's art to me. This video, in truth, was just an excuse for me to play more of this game because I love having my own fun on these maps. I find it very entertaining, and I had a great time, and I really love this game, and I'm very nostalgic for it. And if you disagree with me on any of my takes on the maps, you could actually be completely correct. This is all just like me. This is like, I mean, I'm always making subjective stuff on this channel, but like this is like top 10 most subjective things I've ever said. And like I said, I have a more quote-unquote serious, or as serious as I ever get, video planned for next month, for April, hopefully. And this is some fun and levity in the meantime. Thanks for tagging along through my little joyride through this game. Bye. What's the girl gotta do to get some ammo? Oh shit, is that a Wookiee? I didn't even know they- oh wow, I forgot we had Wookiees. I don't know, I think they're on my team actually, I don't know why I'm so surprised by that.
We've lost a command post.
But guys! What? Oh hey. Wow, it's really hard to tell them apart. Whoa! Wait, someone's shooting me. Or am I drowning? Wait, robots can drown? Why can a robot drown? Why are they all just on the boat when we don't even have the command? We're leaving? We-
Separatists are depleting our reinforcements.
Ah, I got him though. Ha!